Good afternoon. Today, as always, we begin our review of the events that took place on January 11th. I want to start today with some positive news. President Joe Biden's administration is backing legislation that would allow it to seize about $300 billion in frozen Russian assets to help pay for the rebuilding of Ukraine. The White House is trying to build support in Congress to further fund the war against Russia. The bill would provide the authority necessary for the executive branch to seize Russian sovereign assets in favor of Ukraine. Biden's support for the move comes after Republicans in Congress blocked more than $60 billion in funding for Ukraine and concerns that Washington is carrying too much of a financial burden because of Ukraine. However, there are concerns that the move could tarnish the reputation of the U.S. financial system and provoke a flight from the dollar. The administration also wants to coordinate the move with its G7 allies, especially in Europe, where some $200 billion in frozen Russian assets are stored and where confiscation is viewed coolly, at most. The European Union is considering imposing a windfall profits tax on frozen assets of the Russian Central Bank, some $190 billion of which are held at the Belgian clearinghouse Euroclear. However, progress on the proposal has been slow as several key member states, including Germany and France, as well as the European Central Bank, are concerned about the impact the move could have on the stability of the Eurozone. There are also concerns that Moscow could retaliate by confiscating funds blocked in Russia. The topic is expected to be raised at a meeting of G7 leaders ahead of the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine next month. Now let's turn to the situation on the front. According to the Institute for the Study of War, USA, Russian troops have made a number of video-confirmed advances over the past 24 hours, first, southwest of Bakhmut, in the Ivanovska area. Also, Russian publics claim to have captured a cemetery south of Bogdanivka. Ukraine has not confirmed this, second northeast of Novomykhailovka. Southwest of Donetsk, where intense fighting began after the capture of Marinka, also, Russian troops made a confirmed offensive on the eastern bank of the Kherson region. The georeference footage shows that the Russians have advanced southwest of Krynak. Ukraine, meanwhile, is actively erecting defense lines. In the north of Ukraine, they were shown by the commander of the United Forces of the AFU, Sergei Naev. Trenches, dragon teeth and barbed wire are being built. The work is carried out with both construction equipment and shovels. Ukraine has stepped up such construction work in recent months, shifting its military operations against Russia to a more defensive posture. Jack Waddling, a senior fellow in ground warfare at Britain's Royal United Services Institute, believes Russia has regained the initiative on the battlefield and can choose where to attack, and as the AFU's stockpiles of artillery ammunition are dwindling, the level of Russian casualties is declining. This makes it easier for Moscow to create new units that could eventually allow it to open up new avenues of attack. Already, most Russian drone attacks are concentrated on hitting Ukrainian fortifications until there is nothing left to defend. In addition to strikes against the military on the front line, Russian Federation continues to hit cities. Last night, S-300 missiles attacked another hotel in Kharkiv. 13 people were injured, including Turkish journalists. The first arrival was on the facade of the building, the second from the side of the inner courtyard. Vladimir Zelensky continues his tour in the Baltic states. Today in Estonia, he confirmed Russia's use of North Korean ballistic missiles. As previously reported by the US, he said this while talking about how Russia is trying to replenish its arsenals, including with the help of other countries. The president explained that there are large purchases of drones and Shahids from Iran, as well as negotiating missiles, such as those from North Korea, which Russia has been actively using recently. The US wants a clearer war plan from Volodymyr Zelensky in Davos. Washington's effort is the latest sign of discord between Ukraine and its most important ally. Officials in Washington are concerned that disagreements between Zelensky and his army commander-in-chief, Valery Zaluzhny, are slowing efforts to crystallize a new strategy. One source said the Ukrainian military is now developing plans for 2024, with a full range of options under consideration. The U.S. wants to understand how it can help. The Americans believe a decisive breakthrough in the coming months is unlikely, so a strategy is needed to defend current positions and then break through Russian defenses. Russian Federation has claimed a new drone attack. It is alleged that in Kaluga a drone damaged the building of a pumping station, Such a statement was made by the governor of the region Vladislav Shapsha on January 11. According to him, the drone was shot down over the building. There are no fires or casualties. In turn, the Russian Defense Ministry says that drones were shot down in Rostov, Kaluga and Tula regions. Russia has used all kinds of weapons against Ukraine, so far except for nuclear weapons. This was stated by Deputy Head of the Russian Security Council Dmitry Medvedev at a meeting of the Working Group of the Military-Industrial Commission of the Russian Federation to control the production of in-demand weapons. A little later, Medvedev wrote in his Telegram channel that Ukraine's attempts to destroy Western missile launchers on Russian territory with Western missiles would be grounds for Moscow to use nuclear weapons under paragraph D of Article 19 of Russia's nuclear doctrine. This paragraph gives the following grounds for Russia's use of nuclear weapons: aggression against the Russian Federation with the use of conventional weapons when the very existence of the state is threatened. Medvedev did not specify what kind of launchers we are talking about. Medvedev also said that in 2023 more than 500,000 recruits were brought into the Russian army to participate in the war in Ukraine. On average, it turns out more than 40,000 people a month. Note that experts question the figures of 500,000 per year, officially called by Moscow, in their opinion. The number may be overestimated by 200 to 250,000 people. According to estimates by the Ukrainian DNR, the Russian Federation recruits 20,000 people per month for the war in Ukraine, or 240,000 in annual terms, but this is also quite a large number. Obviously, this situation worries not only Kiev but also those Western circles that favor the former strategy of military defeat of the Russian Federation. They have started calling more frequently for the transfer of longer-range missiles to Ukraine, and to lift the ban on Western weapons strikes on Russian territory. Today, Estonian President Alarkaris called for this. On January 10, the Italian parliament voted in favor of a resolution that confirms the continuation of military aid to Ukraine. In favor were 195 deputies, against voted 50, and 55 abstained. The document calls on the government to support all diplomatic efforts to end the war and establish a just, lasting and balanced peace. Ukraine's Black Sea corridor has actually reached the pre-war volume of supplies, Navy Speaker Dmytro Pletenchuk said in a telethon broadcast. Through the grain corridor past 500 ships, more than 10 million tons of cargo were transported. The vast majority of cargo is grain, which is so lacking in the so-called Global South. And as for the grain corridor, it actually reached its capacity before the full-scale invasion. The speaker said that the grain agreement with the Russian Federation with the participation of Turkey is not a special alternative to the trade route that was organized by Ukraine with the help of military means, and noted that when the grain agreement was in effect, Russia also attacked port infrastructure. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó plans to hold a meeting with the head of the Foreign Minister of Ukraine Dmitry Kuleba in Uzhgorod. This was announced by Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó. According to him, the meeting will be held on January 29. During the meeting they will discuss preparations for the meeting between Prime Minister Viktor Orbán and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Thanks to all who watched this video. If you want to stay up to date and get the latest news, then subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to not miss new releases.